If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. If not now, tell me when. I may never see the promised land. I may never see the promised land. And yet we'll take the journey and walk it hand in hand. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. If not now, tell me when. So we'll work until it's done. Every person, everyone, every soul that ever longed for something better, something brighter. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. For miracles to happen, every shining now and then. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when.
Welcome, everyone. I have to say that my soul has been extra full this Shabbat, and it has a lot to do with the incredible musician sitting next to me. Again, thank you to the Appel family for bringing Charlie Kramer to us from Los Angeles. He is a musician, he is a singer, he is a disabilities awareness advocate. He is so much. He is so wonderful, and we're thrilled to be together tonight. Charlie.
Oh, thank you.
All true.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm also honored. It's nice. I get to spend a lot of time with Rabbi Jen this weekend, which has been a blessing. We got to lead last night together and get to dive deeper into tonight. I just wanted to take a second and explain to everyone a little bit of what we're going to do, and then I'll get into a little bit of my story, and I'll sing a song for everyone. But overcoming your blind spots, it's really an opportunity this evening to dive into the things that challenge us. So specifically, I struggle with a disability that many might, especially when you're looking over Zoom, you wouldn't know, or you're looking over on the stream right now, is because I'm legally blind, and I basically see like I'm looking through a tiny straw. So we'll talk a little bit more about visible disabilities, invisible disabilities a little bit later on. But the whole point of this tonight is to take time, to set aside time to talk about the things that are challenging to talk about. Because oftentimes you find, just like diamonds are created, you know, it's about searching in on the things that often seem so hard to even look at. And when you really dive in and you really look at those challenging places, you can unearth amazing beauty. And for me, that's kind of been my journey with my blindness. So tonight is not about my blindness. It's not about my disability. It's not even about disabilities as a whole. It's just about an opportunity for us to look deeper into the things that do challenge us and to talk about how we can be more inclusive, more aware, and how we can help each other work through some of these challenges. So I'm really excited for it. It's going to be an awesome conversation.
Of course, and I loved your illusion of a diamond because diamonds can only be made under pressure.
Oh, I didn't even think about that part. That's great.
From immense pressure,
yes.
You get something beautiful.
That's the point. And, well, I guess that's a good segue for me. I was under immense pressure without even realizing it because I was, well, here's the story. I was diagnosed with this disease called retinitis pigmentosa when I was 5 years old. And basically what it does is it causes me to lose my peripheral vision over time, and it also causes me to be completely blind at night. So my eyes don't adjust to the darkness. And then I get fun other things like floaters and cataracts and all this crazy stuff. So my glasses only actually correct a very small amount of my eyesight that's directly in front of me that has a little bit of astigmatism, but it can't correct everything else that's going on. So I actually grew up with this challenge. My mom and my sister both have it.
Oh, wow.
So it runs in my family. And like we were talking about earlier, my sister is my older sister. And my mom, you know, is my mom. So they're both role models to me, and I looked up to them. And neither of them growing up used a cane. So for me, I just always thought, well, I'm not going to need to use a cane. It's just not a part of my life. I'm different. And then I started bumping into things and then hurting people and hurting myself. And the immense pressure came from me having to realize that I need to stand up for myself. So, I mean, I showed this last night on the surface. This is my cane.
Amazing pink.
Amazing pink. Yeah, my
Yes.
favorite color is pink. I can prove it. Here's my pink mask, and my water bottle's pink down here too. So I really go for it. But yeah, it just has given me this freedom, you know, to walk around life in a different way. So, you know, I'll really just in a second here, I want to play a song for everyone that tells a bit of the journey of what I went through and kind of this pressure by pushing in and actually having to make these challenging choices when I was 24. So really I was acting like I wasn't blind, even though I was for 24 years of my life. And I'm only 28, you know? So it's been a relatively new thing for me to go through this. So at this point, you know, that pressure led to, honestly, the 4 happiest years of my life. Just by accepting something that I think most people would think would be more challenging. But we'll talk about it more later. The most challenging aspect of what I deal with has nothing to do with my eyesight and everything to do with the way that people relate to me and the way that I think about my challenge. But the challenge itself, I use a blind cane. I do things a little bit differently, and that's really it. And life isn't too bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So I'm going to play a song right now. It's called Vision, and it just goes on a little bit of a journey of developing my vision. There are times I don't have sight, but I've got vision. I don't mind, I can't see 'cause I will listen. With my heart, with my soul, and with my spirit. In this darkness I will find everything I thought I'm missing. I've got a vision. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I've got a vision. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There are things I forget are always with me. Like my mind and the strength within my being. There are blessings when I face what I am feeling. I don't let what I see decide what I know and what I'm blind to. I've got a vision. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I've got a vision. Whoa, whoa, whoa. got everything I've dreamed of, 'cause everything I've seen is just right in front of me. I've got everything I've dreamed of, 'cause everything I've seen is just right inside of me. I've got everything I've dreamed of, 'cause everything I've seen is just right in front of me. I've got everything I've dreamed of, everything I've seen is just right inside of me. I've got a vision. I've got a vision. I've got a vision. I've got a vision. I've got a vision.
So I think actually, whether you intended to or not, you kind of gave us a glimpse into your journey to this point by helping us understand there's a difference between sight and vision.
Yes.
Like there's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yes.
And it's not everybody intuits that, and not everybody gets there so quickly. And like you said, it kind of took you 24 years maybe to get to that point. So like, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, in the first 24 years, I thought of it as, if it's going to help me get to the front of the line at Disneyland, I will use my blind cane. I thought of it, you know, it was amazing, you know?
I have no doubt.
Or if it's going to help me get a better seat at a concert, I'm going to use my blind cane. But if I have to use it all the time in my everyday life, and I'm going to be thought of as the blind musician, the blind speaker, you know, then I was like, no, right? And I think that that's a pretty natural response, because I just didn't want to be different, you know?
Or maybe defined by it?
Yes,
like you
that's a
wanted to
big thing.
define yourself.
Right, 100%. And I also wanted to be able to define myself as, even though I have this, it doesn't matter, you know? And I think that that was probably one of the most powerful things. I specifically remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be the first blind baseball player to hit 80 home runs in a season. But I'll tell you right now, my 5'5" self is not hitting 80 home runs in a baseball season. but it has
So
nothing
there
to
are
do
other
with my blindness.
challenges,
Yeah, it
right.
has nothing to do with my blindness.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's a big aspect of it. And then slowly but surely, as I went on in my life, and, you know, I think for me, growing up in the Jewish community played a huge aspect in giving me this ability to have the strength to talk about it so often, because I was involved in so many programs about inner strength, about speaking your truth, about standing up for people, about tikkun olam. You know, there was so many different pieces when I was a kid that it really helped me to understand that I have nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yes.
And also that it's okay that my journey is different from those people that are in my family as well. You know, like, I use a cane every single day of my life, and my sister doesn't, and that's okay, you know, because she doesn't need it as much. She was able to drive a car, I wasn't. That's okay, you know? But that transition was definitely a long one. I think a lot of times people think that there's a moment that snaps into place, and then all of a sudden everything's fine and you're good, but it was never that moment. It was a series of events throughout my life that helped me get to that kind of a place. Yeah.
And I think that for a lot of things, I know in my life, other people saw things happening before I did.
Yeah.
And they knew enough to know that if they had told me, I either wouldn't have been able to hear them, able to listen and make that change yet.
Yeah.
I just wasn't in that space. And I think sometimes we just have to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, that was a big aspect of. I was like it makes it sound like I'm a teenager. Like that's basically what it was. I was like a rebellious teenager, and instead of rebelling by going to like crazy parties, my rebellion was I'm not using my cane, and it wasn't like a rebellion to my parents. It was more of just like a rebellion to my soul, right? It was a soul feeling of like I knew that there was this thing always happening. Like you need to do what's right for you, but I kept saying, well, I don't want it. I want to be different, you know? And I think that that's a feeling that almost every person has in their lives. that we ignore. That's probably one of the most painful things to ignore ever. And that's why I call it a blind spot. You know, that's what a blind spot is. It's the thing in your life that even though you know it's there, you're going, I'm just going to turn the blind eye. I'm not going to listen to it. And funny enough, for me, that thing was my blindness itself.
Or even worse, perhaps, you keep running into it, right?
Yeah.
How many times do you know there's a car over there when, you know, or whatever your blind spot might be, you keep running into it. It's like sometimes we push those boundaries and we have to bounce off of it.
Yep.
20 times, sometimes, you know, people say rinse and repeat,
Oh, yeah.
and then we can move forward.
Yeah, it took me a long time. I often talk about, too, this, if I walk into someone with my blind cane out, it's always the other person's fault because I have my blind cane out. It's a clear sign, like, you know, I can't see, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. But when I don't have it out and I run into someone, I used to try and say, well, you know, I'm really sorry, I don't see very well. And to someone, I don't see very well is like, get some glasses. Or
I was going to ask, what was the reaction?
Yeah, the reactions often would be, you know, like, what's wrong with you? I think it was worse in high school, you know, if like I ran into like someone or, you know, most people are, I think the majority of people in the world, if someone runs into you, they know it's an accident. You weren't doing it on purpose. It's okay. But in high school, you know, I'd get pushed and be like, watch where you're going and stuff. And my thought was never, oh, I should start using my blind cane. You know, I just kept, like you're saying, bumping off the blind spot over and over again until somehow I realized that I needed to stand up for myself more. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because I think that, you know, people perhaps couldn't see in you why that was happening. And maybe people couldn't see in me what I was bumping into, right? It's almost like we're all kind of walking through life with these invisible, some of us, invisible blind spots.
Yep.
And unless, like you said, you made your own choice to use your cane or made the choice to be an advocate to help other people be able to express themselves and make those choices, you know, we're just going to keep bumping into each other.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd actually argue that I think everyone has the invisible blind spots.
Oh, absolutely.
I would say that, like, we could, you know, you could try and be nice and be like, well, maybe some people don't. And I would say, nah, it's probably just because they're not looking hard enough, you know? So, and all of them show up in different ways. But the cool thing is, even in our Kabbalistic tradition, they were given to us, you know, the explanation is that on a mystical level, they were given to us to be able to achieve our complete greatness. By breaking through our negativity, is the way that it's explained, you're able to achieve and find the greatness that lives within you all the time, you know? And I think that that's a beautiful thing that often people don't think about, is that the beauty that you're looking for outside of you, or that you feel like someone else has, or that you gained at some point in your life, it was always within you. You just found a way to uncover it. You bloomed the flower that was always waiting to be there. Yeah.
But I think that's hard. That's
yeah.
really hard. And I think that, you know, we live in this world that offers us so many challenges without us asking for them, that to take that deep dive and say, I am going to turn this blind spot, I am going to turn this, call it a disability, into an advantage, into something beautiful.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to, like, sit in that uncomfortable space, and sometimes for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's really hard. I want to play a song because I think it speaks to it perfectly. There's a specific lyric in it that I want to bring up, specifically because we're talking about this, and it talks about this challenging moment. And I'll
Perfect.
While I'm getting my guitar out, I think you make a really beautiful point that it's really hard. I think the powerful point in this is, and we can even talk about this a little bit more later, is this idea that it's not black or white. You're not either happy or sad, or you've either overcome all of your challenges or you haven't. Life is always in the middle.
Yes.
And that's why I love this song specifically, because it says, I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. And it comes off this blessing, Asher Yatzar. It's written by one of, you know, the pioneers really of modern Jewish music, Dan Nichols. And I just think it's a fantastic way to understand that, you know, we're perfect just the way we are. We don't have to change anything, and we're a little bit broken, and that's a part of the perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of it. And oftentimes we look at those things that break us as, you know, a negative, but it's actually a beautiful thing. And changing that mindset, I think, is a big way that we can do that work of easing the pain and easing the challenge of sitting with it.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Baruch atah Adonai Rofech basar umafli la'asod. Baruch atah Adonai Rofech basar umafli la'asod.
So can I like confess something to you real quick?
Yeah.
So the first time I ever heard that, I kind of fell apart because it was like I was saying through my falling apartness, thank you for blessing my brokenness.
Yes.
Because I don't think we have sometimes the strength, and sometimes we're embarrassed, and sometimes there's no one out there who's willing to say, it's okay if you're feeling broken, whatever that means to you.
Yes.
And that you're not in it alone. And whatever your brokenness is, you know, we can turn it, maybe not even into a blessing, but we can bless that brokenness and grow from it.
Yeah.
And it was very overpowering to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big reason why I love that song. And it's a message that's really powerful too, because of the actual blessing that it's based off of. You know, the prayer that it's based off of. It talks about our bodies and our openings and our closings, and how if we didn't have our body functioning the way that it did, we wouldn't be here. If one simple thing went wrong, you know, we wouldn't be here. And I love this take on it, because then it's saying, but wait a second. There might be someone out there who does have something a little bit different and wrong with them. And hello, hi, I do.
Right.
You know? Like,
Right.
I have something that makes me different in that way, and I'm still beautiful. And I'm still grateful that I have all those things working because I'm still here,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I couldn't agree with you more that that opportunity to say thank you for the brokenness and how it's shaping your life is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I often get the question, if today you were able to fix your vision, would you do it? I don't know if I would say yes.
That's really powerful,
I
to be
don't.
honest.
I don't know if I would actually say yes.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Part of my, I kind of confessed this in a high holiday sermon once, if y'all remember. But it was the MTV If You Really Knew Me challenge.
Oh, okay.
And so I gave my high holiday sermon, and one of them is that my feelings get hurt easily.
Yeah.
And I've never grown a thick skin. As an adult, that's probably not the best way to go through life. It makes it hard. And, you know, I confessed that to the congregation, and I said something to my husband. Actually, I say it all the time, you know, that something hurt me. And he said, if things didn't soak into you the way that they did, you wouldn't be who you are.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be the rabbi you are.
Yeah.
And I need him to tell me that, because if not, I see it as a brokenness. I see it as, you know, the cracks. It's a crack where things get in that shouldn't. And
Yeah.
he's saying to me, no. You're letting things in so you can empathize and sympathize and offer love.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important too that, like, what you're saying, I think sometimes there's a little bit of sugarcoating that happens, and sometimes with the best intentions, people will say something like, "You're so inspiring because of what you do," or "You're." Even with you, you know, in your situation, it's so inspiring that you stood up and that you said that. And I sometimes get this feeling that people are saying that because they want to just shower with positivity. But funny enough, I don't think it's actually about positivity. It's actually that exactly what your husband is saying. That literally, if you weren't as sensitive as you are, you wouldn't be the amazing person that you are.
Thank you.
You know? And for that, I'm so glad that you are sensitive. And for one, I'll tell everyone right now, I'm the most sensitive person ever.
Well, maybe that's why we get along
That's
so
right,
well.
exactly. I
It's
think
so
it has to
easy
be.
to be together.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I really believe that. I think there's too many times in life when we try to shower something and cover it up with positivity, and sometimes it's actually positive. It's called toxic positivity, I think is what the name of it is. And it's a real thing, you know, just being positive just for the sake of it. Now, I do think that perspective is really important and that having a positive mindset is amazing. I'm not saying that it's not. What I am saying is that sometimes the beauty is within the brokenness, and we shouldn't hide from that, because the strength that we get actually comes from diving into what you're talking about, you know? And I think that you're not only a better rabbi because of your sensitivity, you're probably a better rabbi because you told your congregation that too.
I hope so.
I would say so. You know, I think it's true.
But do you think that some of your power, and when I say power, it's not only personal power, but like your power to help people comes from your self-awareness?
Yes. I actually think that part of the reason is like it's like a responsibility in a way, because I was raised in a way. I grew up as a song leader. I was trained as a leader in the Jewish community. And then all of a sudden I started to accept this aspect of myself that I think a lot of people may struggle to accept. And I was fortunate to have an upbringing where I was showered with enough love and reinforcement, and just people sitting there going like, it's okay that you are who you are, that I feel a responsibility in a positive way. It's not a burden. It's like an exciting thing for me to be like, well, okay, that means that I should talk about this, you know? And I really feel like it's an important thing to do because the majority of people in the world, their challenges are invisible.
Yes.
You know? And that's a really hard thing. I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. And funny enough, today is the first day of May, and it's also the first day of Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think that is, for me, the number one invisible disability out there.
Absolutely. And as I'm hearing you talk, I'm so proud of our reform movement of how we nurture teens.
Yeah.
Whether in our congregations or in our camps, we give teens that space. And right now more than ever, our teens are struggling. They've gone through this year. They're not in school the way they're used to. They're not in their programs the way they're used to. They're not in Temple Israel the way they're used to. And I agree. I think that our teens are struggling, but I think it's as hard as it is for our teens to say they're struggling with mental health, it's really hard for adults. We're the one who's supposed to have it all together, right?
That's also toxic to me.
To have it all together.
That makes me crazy. We'll get into that. We can get into that another time.
Okay.
I don't think anyone is ever supposed to have it all together. I think that's a myth. Well, I think we're supposed to have the opposite. I think we're supposed to be okay with not having it all together because it's impossible to be perfect.
That's what I tell myself. Like, life is not Instagram. Life is not Facebook.
No.
And when you look and you scroll and you're like, well, my house doesn't look like that. Or, my hair doesn't look like that. I think you're right. I don't think anybody's does. But
No.
that's what we put forward. That's a burden, don't you think, to put that forward all the time?
Yeah, I do actually. It is, it's a real challenge in this day and age to look around and you're always visually seeing what someone else is doing. And I think in a very interesting way, it makes the challenges that they have or the disabilities that they might have even more invisible.
Yes. Yes, because the picture they're putting forward hides them further.
Yes.
Yes.
It's also a spiritual truth, and specifically Kabbalistically is taught that wherever there is the greatest amount of darkness, there is the greatest amount of light to be revealed. And that the light is there all the time. It's called surrounding light, and we always have light around us. It's like light is basically another way to refer to God, right? To refer to the Creator. So we always have this light that is surrounding us. But there's something in between that we have to break through in order to access, right? And sometimes that's looking and doing that hard work, right? Now, am I saying that every single time that you want to have something amazing happen in your life, it's because you have to work through something hard? No. But a lot of the most amazing achievements that happen in life and the things that you're most impressed by when you see something on the news or you see something on like some viral video of someone doing something incredible, it's because of the feat of them getting there. It's the work that they had to go through in order to get there. That's why Rocky is an amazing movie.
Right.
Not just because he's really strong.
Right.
It's because you see him do all the work.
Right. That's what's so interesting, though, because I was going to say, largely, a lot of times the work is unseen.
Yes.
Right? Like, you never know what somebody's going through. And that's what I tell myself. I tell my children, if somebody at school isn't acting the way they're used to, my children are used to them acting, I would say, you know what, you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
It doesn't excuse bad behavior, but we don't know what's happening in their home. We don't know what's happening with them with school. They could be struggling, and lashing out is not the answer, but we have to approach it with compassion, knowing that maybe something's going on.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful thing to teach kids and your kids. Yeah. It's so hard. It's the truth. It's the bully complex. Yeah. Right? Why is the bully picking on someone else? Is because that's their way of lashing out because of what they're going through. That's their coping mechanism. And coping mechanisms show up in different ways. It doesn't excuse the behavior.
Right.
But it is important to recognize those things. And that's the majority of people in life are good people dealing with challenging moments and challenging aspects and things that are specifically challenging to them.
Yes.
Right? That would never be challenging to us, but are very challenging to them. It doesn't make them an evil person or a bad person. The majority of people in life are just dealing with those and acting and reacting to those different situations. And the more compassion we can have, the better. Actually, I thought of this last night on the Bima when I was together. Yeah, because a lot of times people ask me, well, how can I be a better ally to someone with a disability? And I think it's a really important thing. It's so simple. It's the most easy thing. Ready?
Yeah.
Kindness.
Yeah.
Compassion. And that's pretty much as you can go. And then the third thing is ask ask them if they need help. If you feel like you want to ask them, but have no connection to their response.
Okay.
Like don't the more that you can let go of the need to help them, the better. Because the majority of time that people ask me, do you need help? My most common answer is no, thank you. The most annoying thing for someone who has a disability, and challenging too, because it places us in a situation of we feel like we have to accept the help.
So as not to offend the person offering?
Yes. Is just, if someone says no, thank you, leave them alone. Don't touch them, you know? And if they do say yes, don't assume that you know how to help them. Ask them the question again, what would be most helpful?
That, I think, is the key question. And a lot of times in my service as a hospice chaplain, that's the question I tell people to ask.
Yeah.
Because it might be errand running, getting the kids from school, you know, cleaning the house. I think that we don't always think to ask people, what do you need? I'm not going to assume that I know. And we do. And again, like you said, it's good and it's well-intentioned.
Yeah.
It's almost always coming from a place of good intentions.
Yeah.
But it's better to ask.
It's better to ask.
Yeah.
It's the best thing to do. And even in the situation of like, if you're afraid to ask, that means that you should ask.
That's good to know.
Like if you're
That's really
afraid,
good
if
to
you're
know.
like, oh, I don't know if I should ask. I don't know. Just ask them. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They'll tell you no. Or they could say yes, and then you know you did the right thing. There's no bad scenario. Even if they say, why did you ask? I would be so surprised if someone said, like, get away from me. Don't ask me that question. Like, come on, what's going to happen, you know? And I think the other important thing that I heard you say that clicked in my brain is assumptions. It's kindness, compassion, ask, and never assume. I get people who see me walk for two steps or even look at my phone and then walk with my blind cane. I was actually joking with Jacob the other day, and I was walking with my blind cane, and then I looked at my phone at the same time. And I still need to do both, right? I can look at my phone,
people,
but it confuses people. But here's the thing, don't assume. You don't know what the other person is going through, just like we talked about with invisible mental challenges. If you don't know what the other person is going through, don't assume that you know better than them, or that you should be deciding, oh, that person doesn't need that wheelchair if they can stand up in it. You know?
I'm taking a deep breath right now.
It's really hard, you know, because they do need it.
Right.
They do need it. Otherwise, they wouldn't use it. Why would someone choose to use a wheelchair? It really does. Or why would someone choose to use the blind cane? Actually, that might sound bad. I do choose to use my blind cane. I choose to use it because I need it, right? So I think it is actually, yes, I'm choosing to use it, so support me, you know? Maybe I don't need it all the time, but I do need it when I need it. And if you see someone using any type of adaptive technology that can help them work themselves into a world that is built for people who are not disabled, believe them.
That's so powerful. Believe them.
Just believe them. Just, really in my head, it's like, just shut up and believe them. You know? Like, turn off that voice in your head and just believe them.
I think that as I'm going through life and meeting more people, I'm trying to remind myself that is not my experience. So let me learn from their experience. And there's two words that I don't often use, or I try to, and sometimes they escape out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh God, I want to take those back. And that's, I understand. Because
interesting.
I don't understand everything. I understand a lot from what my life has handed me. I've been through a lot of things I never expected. So I can say it when I've lived it. I can empathize, I can listen, but sometimes I don't understand. I don't know what it is like to have to use a blind cane. That is not my experience.
Yeah.
But I can honor your experience and, like you said, become a better ally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And the other thing you can do is, this is how I believe you can be a better ally. But if you're interacting with someone more often than just me, or there's someone in the Temple Israel community who has a disability, and you want to interact with them more often in a way that they feel you're being an ally, maybe you should just ask them, how can I be supportive? How can I be an ally to you in a way that you think? Or just ask them the question, what's the best way to be an ally for disabled people? You know, I promise you they're going to have a different answer, and it'll be awesome. It's going to be an awesome answer.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. So I think those things are really important. And it's just, yeah, that's why I say never assume. You just, you can never assume what someone is going through. No. I actually want to throw it over. I know we have a prompt.
Yes.
And I want to invite people in a safe space to just share something that's challenging you in your life. It can be anything. It can be like, my children aren't taking out the trash. It can be that simple, right? That is a challenge. It can be something much greater than that, right? Maybe you're having a surgery and you need extra support and love, or there's a family member going through something, or it can just be something simple and silly, you know? But it's still just as much of a challenge to you. And I want you to, in the chat, just say, is it visible or invisible?
Ooh, important. That's a good one.
That's all you need to say at the end. Is it visible or invisible? And for anyone that is in the comment section tonight, out there, this is an amazing opportunity to be an ally and supportive to people and just show love. And there's literally a love button on Facebook. So no
There
likes.
is a love button.
No likes. Just
Yeah.
only the hearts, okay? Only
do that
put the
right
hearts on there if you
I'm
can.
trying to do that right now. I just did that right now.
Love it.
Because I'm watching the chat, everyone. So if you put it in the chat, we would
Yeah.
really appreciate it, because that way we can continue this conversation with you
Yeah.
and welcome you into this conversation. I keep hitting the microphone.
It's
I'm
okay.
not good at the setup.
You're doing amazing. It's amazing.
Lots of hearts, and you know, people saying that it's such an important conversation
Yeah.
that we're having, and you know, I think it's so funny. It's like in Israel, if someone would walk up to you and be like, "How much money do you make?" You know, and in Israel, that's like no big deal, and
Right.
Americans are like, "What are you doing?" Right?
Yeah.
But it's similar in the sense to be like, "What do you struggle with?" Right? I think that's not usually an icebreaker. Although with our teens, sometimes we'll ask them like, "What's your most embarrassing moment?"
Yes.
You know, my writing teacher in New York, her most popular class is turning your most humiliating moment into a publishable article.
That's amazing.
And they get published all the time.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's funny. In America, we're not always probing our friends for what are you struggling with right now.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I lived abroad in Australia, and I participated in this really crazy experience one time where we went to this like main square, like in the middle of Melbourne, like the middle of the city, and anybody that wanted to come, it was totally free. They organized it on Facebook or something like that. There was hundreds of people there, and you sat across from someone that you didn't know, and you stared into their eyes for like 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
It was something crazy like that. Maybe it felt like 30 minutes. I don't know. It was a really long time.
Wow.
Okay? It was a really long time. And you learned more about that person than ever before. And I kind of
Wow.
think about it in the same way of like, what's challenging you right now? Because that's when you really get to know someone. That's when you really learn and really connect. And I think that's what makes a community really powerful and really strong, is not only are we there for the amazing, beautiful moments, but we actually celebrate the fact that we embrace the challenging moments too.
Yeah.
And it's not a, I'm so sorry, that's horrible, let's not talk about it again. It's a, I'm here for as long as you need me kind of feeling. And I think that's that's the work that we do. And it's a
is the
beautiful
work
thing.
that we do. And talk about a blessing, right?
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
That is a blessing.
And I have to say, I'm truly proud of our community, not just Temple Israel. I'm always proud of Temple Israel, but also our larger Jewish community, and how when people were struggling in these past 15 months with things they never saw coming, right? Blind spots that appeared because of circumstance, or blind spots that were revealed because of circumstance, how people jumped in and became better neighbors and better friends and better allies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's I just thought of this now. I think it's kind of funny. Like, we're known for being like over loving,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Like, that's our thing. We're the people that love too much. You know what? Bring it on. More love.
More love.
More love. I'm
More
proud.
love. Me too.
I'm proud.
Me too.
Yeah. And I want to share a final song before we move into Havdalah.
Havdalah.
Yeah. And I want to do a little teaching first. So, funny enough, this song, I'm releasing the official music for it and the official music video for it in just a few days.
Nice.
Which I'm really
Where
excited
can we
about.
find that, Charlie Kramer?
Just go to my you just go to my website, and that could be easy, or follow on Instagram or anything like Facebook. Just Charlie Kramer and then the word vision. You'll find me anywhere with those things.
Awesome.
Yeah. So basically, the music video actually shows you what it's like to walk through the world with my visual challenge.
Oh, wow.
I'll give you a sneak peek after.
Please do.
Okay. And then you guys, if you want a sneak peek too, you can actually sign up for early access and get it a day early. That's not the teaching. I just wanted to mention that because I would love for you to be a part of the experience and to continue and stay connected with me. So basically, this song kickstarted my journey. It kickstarted my journey of accepting my blindness. And a mutual friend of Jacob and I reached out to me and said, hey, there's this text, you should write something on it because I know that you have a visual challenge. And I was just starting to use my cane. And it's a blessing that says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim, which comes from our morning liturgy in a series of blessings. And most of our prayer books, they translate this blessing to say, blessed are you, Adonai, ruler of the universe, who opens the eyes of the blind. But that's not what it means. Because pokeach is a verb that specifically refers to the opening and closing of your eyelids only. So really, it's about opening your eyelids, which is crazy because then it made me realize our eyes are always open. They can't open or close. It's a weird thing that we have in English.
Never thought about that way.
That we say, close your eyes. It's not true. You can only close your eyelids. And I know that that's a funny thing, but when you think about it and you dive deeper, well, what are eyelids then? If our eyes can always be open and always look to things, our eyelids are the things that allow us to choose whether or not we want to see. Now, I don't always have the choice in my life to see everything that I want to physically. But I like to think of eyelids, we have eyelids as well on a spiritual level, you know? And just like we were talking about earlier, we can choose at different times in our lives to see something or to put up our curtains or put our eyelids, close them, you know, and blind ourselves. And that's a blindness that every person in the world experiences. So this is my personal belief. I wasn't there when they wrote the text, but this, I wasn't with God, or I wasn't with the rabbis or with the scholars or the scribes, but I believe in my heart that this is a blessing not about people opening and closing their physical eyelids, but about God opening up the eyelids of those who are blind to something on an emotional and spiritual level in their lives so that they can really experience the world in its wholeness, you know, and experience joy in its wholeness, no matter how challenging it is. And that's what this song is about. Oh, 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 oh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim, whoa, oh, oh. Pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. I am blind to the life that's right beside me. I am blind to the light that shines before me. I am blind to the shadows all around me, to the absence of the blessings that are right before my eyes. Oh, 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 oh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim, whoa, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. I am blind, and I can see what's right before me. I am blind, and I can hear the world around me. I am blind, and I can feel the strength inside me. The beauty in our world sings beyond our eyes. Oh, 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 oh,
Aw. Like I said at the beginning, my soul is just so full. I needed this Shabbat more than I can say.
Me too.
I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who needed this more than they can say. So, what do you think?
I think it's time to bring some of the joy and the sweetness that we're feeling into the rest of the week.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah. And I will say that this is exactly what I needed this weekend too, without a doubt. To be out of my living room and out of the space of my little streaming circle and out all the way in Michigan with, in your space, inviting me into your actual spaces is an immense blessing. I can't say it feels unbelievable. So thank you. And even though not all of you are in the room here with me, I can feel your energy and it feels awesome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen, borei peri hagafen. Ay nay na 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 nay 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 na 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 nay nay. In the nay 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 nay. Ay nay na 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 nay 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 na 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 nay nay. In the nay 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 nay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei minei besamim, borei minei besamim. Ay nay na 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 na. In the night, 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 in the night, 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 night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei meorei ha'esh, borei meorei ha'esh. Ay nay na 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 na. Na 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 na. Ay nay na 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 na. Na 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 na. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho, Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho, המבדיל בין קודש לחול, חטאותינו הוא ימחול, זרענו וכספנו ירבה כחול, והכוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, 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 שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Charlie, I cannot thank you enough for coming to Temple Israel, for sharing your wisdom and your kindness and your compassion. And, you know, we say Yishar Koach so easily, some of us, we say Yishar Koach, great job, but that's not what it means. It means stay strong. And I wish you strength so you can continue to go around the country and go around the world and bring your message, because we all need to hear it.
Thank you.
So thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. It's a blessing. I'm like a giddy little kid. So it's so nice to be out and about and sharing with all of you, and so grateful to connect with everyone and to spend so much time teaching and singing and being with you. So
God willing, we'll do it again.
I agree. Amen to that. Lots of love, everyone.
Thanks for being with us.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.